I am excited to make a long video, finally, about the drill-powered pulley that I've been using for the last 6 months, because it's a unique tool that I believe will solve several people's problems, not just mine. This is a power ascender that actually lets you put the rope in wherever you want on the rope, whereas something like the Ronin, which is also a powered ascender, you have to feed the end of the rope through the device.
Then you reach over and just simply pop that out.
When you pop the lever, you are disengaging the gears, which is what the friction arms are for, so you can rappel with it. I got to help decide what was put on the back of it, including it being super good enough. These are things I wish I knew when I first got it, and we're going to go over a lot of that in this video. The backstory to this is pretty cool. Zhang Long translated the bolting Bible for me years ago, and he works in the AWAH team, Artisans Working at Height. They are an air conditioning group in China, where they're trying to solve the problem of getting the air conditioners up and also a more convenient way to go up and down the ropes without the expensive powered ascenders that are available. So for the last 6 months, him and I have been nerding out about how to get what I have in my hand here, and I get to be the exclusive distributor in the United States for these. Right now, until we have distributors in all the countries, if you want to buy one, you can buy it from our site, and we will drop ship directly from the manufacturer to your country. So I'm publishing this video in about 15 minutes, but I want to give you an exciting update. Line Grip Incorporated, who makes the Line Scale 3, is officially the distributor in Europe for the AWAH products. For the last few years, I have worked with Andy Rudrick while we designed this and brought it to market together, and now we get to be on Team AWAH to bring these products to you. Not only did I want you guys to have good information about this, but I wanted to make sure there was a good support system for the warranty and potential service repairs that you may ever have with this, so you're never down while you can't get up. Can I say that? I'm gonna let Pastor Ryan finish this. I'd like to go over how it's intended to be used, and then of course, maybe break all the rules in this video, because that's what I like to do here. Must be used with a backup system. That's not a rule that I break. And so this is intended to be used with an ASAP, and you can use it on the rope that you have on here, or you can have it on a secondary rope like some people have used in the rope access industry already. This thing is built like a tank, but it is not certified PPE. Yeah. But it's also not intended for that. It's like telling me your drill is not good at pounding in nails. You're not supposed to be smashing nails into the body of your battery there. This is supposed to move things. Could be you or something else, but the life supporting side of things, in this case, would be an ASAP and a sorber. Now, Skylotech has something that can be mounted at an anchor and can lift things up or down, but you don't want that on someone. Now, Skylotech has a battery powered one that's only $20,000. And Husqvarna's power ascender is 6,500 euro and still requires a backup. I wonder if the battery's included on that. And people compare this to a capstand, and I'm like, have you ever tried to lower with a capstand? Someone almost lost their finger on the 2-kilometer long Sweden Highline that we did because we tried to lower off a high tension thing with a capstand. As soon as the strands are no longer coiled just right, it locks itself up or releases instantly. I mainly use this to lift up our 160-pound weight on our drop tower because it's really hard to do that without some assistance. And a capstand is kind of annoying. It was actually extra loud. Both electrical and gas-powered capstands are pretty loud. I found this to be way more convenient. We have it going through in the redirect a micro traction, so it's doing all the progress capturing. This is only moving it. It's not holding it, though it could with a backup, but it's also nice that I can release it by wrapping the rope around here, disengaging the gears, and getting all the weight on the micro traction. So when I release my dummy, that this isn't suspended and then falling. So you can hang this from an anchor and you can lift things or air conditioners, but you can also use this Beckett if you want to do a 2-to-1 and get twice as much force out of this. Now this requires an 8mm drill bit or 5/16, which conveniently is the exact same thing. Yes, you need a drill. Typically, people already have those. But the nicest part is you can take it off, hang it from your harness, and it's not in your face. When lowering, fully open the handle quickly to disengage the gears. This is not a gree-gree. You don't want to throttle the handle because it is not a camming unit. It is gears. They are on or off, which is why you have friction arms. Actually, like friction arms instead of some magic going on the inside, so I can fully control my descent. It's not like that thing's gonna break. We made sure to include fully stop before closing the handle. Failure to do so may result in gear damage. If you are rolling downhill and put your car in park, that. Now originally when I first got this, I used a tiny homeowner drill that burned up. mostly because it wasn't a brushless drill, which I found to be more important than the actual strength of the drill. You will get more out of this, the better this is. And actually, I find the drills aren't that expensive if you already have the expensive part. You don't want to use an impact drill because, ask me how I know, the shock on the gears strips them. And I ended up burning up my other drill because I used the wrong one and it wasn't brushless and it generated enough heat that it started smoking. I used my only other drill I had, which was gently using an impact drill. And if you know how impact drills, that's pretty funny. It's impacting or not. So we made sure it was real clear on here. No impact drills. So how fast can you travel up with this thing? Well, that depends on your drill. On my second gear on my little drill, I scared the shit out of me. Whoa, that is way scary. And in that case, I thought it felt comparable to a Ronin. Now this was technically made for 10 to 11 millimeter, but we put 9 to 11 millimeter as a compromise because I've been using it for 6 months with an 8 millimeter. Wait, there's caveats to this. Don't go outside of the recommendations without knowing the context. If you have a very stiff rope, then it is not going to go back through the pulley. That is what you want to avoid. You want to make sure that the rope is not going to get sucked back down into here like Bobby's beard because he got it too close to his face while it was operating. By the way, because this is fat on the end, you're going to want to use something that is not a D-shaped carabiner. That is going to be potentially, that is a D-shaped. Now, because this is so thick right here, you're going to want to put an HMS or pear-shaped or an oval carabiner on there. You don't want to use a D-shaped carabiner. That makes it all cockeyed and weird. They say show, don't tell. So you get all set up here, and then you're going to stick the drill in, and you're going to go up while maintaining your backup. Pro tip. If your drill dies, you're not out of luck. If you're just trying to finish a window or cutting down a branch or something, you can still keep going up and finish your work. You just take an ascender, you put it above the device, you put a rolling carabiner in there, and you use it like any progress capture ascending system 3-to-1. Wow, they do let just anybody pass a Sprat level 1, don't they? And to come down, you just wrap it around the friction arms, open up the gears, and that's it. Now let's explore how much force we can get with every rope diameter, starting with 2 millimeter. You have the anchor side, go around the pulley, and this is not the diameter it was intended for. So the wheel will spin and not move the rope. Now let's try 6 millimeter and see what happens. Now let's try a 7 millimeter accessory cord. You can see that it's slipping in here, but if I pull on the tail, I can get more out of it. Before we go up to the next size, you can see this is looking totally fine. This also doesn't look damaged after doing that. So fun fact, this is an 8 millimeter cord. This is what we've been using in our pulley. I have used this a lot with this rope, so let's find out how much force this is actually giving us before it slips. By the way, this rope has a polyester sheath and a 12 braid Dyneema core on the inside. I'm going to test it without hanging onto the tail at all. So that's almost no force. If I hang on to the tail, which I typically do, now it started to slip. So it's about 300 pounds of force right here, and the bigger the rope, the more we get before it slips. I just did it again, and I got almost 2 kilonewtons. Something interesting is the rope, you can see looks nice right there, but where it was spinning around the pulley, kind of started to damage it. Let's go up to 9 mil and see what happens on that now. So without hanging onto the tail, we get almost no force. But if I pull it, that one was only 1.5, but I got a little bit more of a consistent peak. The fact this is so stiff is probably why it's slipping inside of there. So here is a good spot of the rope, but where it was slipping inside the pulley is a little fuzzy. Now let's try this 10 mil nylon rope. This is what it was actually designed for. That consistently holds 1.5K in the way I'm doing it. Yeah, it gets about 2K in. That's a good spot of the rope. And that is where it was slipping, which is not too bad. The Ronin will actually chew a rope up and completely destroy it. Now let's try an 11 millimeter nylon rope. Fun fact is this one is so thick that that bar right there pushes up against the rope, which I'm assuming is going to give us a lot more. What's nice is as I pre-tension it, it holds much like a progress capture. And it's going to hold that until I crack the gears open, and then it can release. Ow. A lot. So that didn't even slip at all, and I got 1,000 pounds of force out of it. So use this part of the drill. Your wrist will thank you. If I set this here, then let's see how much we get. So now let's change this to, well, it's quite a bit higher. And for this last one, we'll go all the way up to 21. Woo! Back to God mode. Ooh, I got it to slip. So that is a good part of the rope. And this is where it was spinning inside of it, which is pretty good considering how much force we had on it. But even then, it's not damaging the rope, so that's nice. Here's a Blue Water 11.4 millimeter rope. Let's see how fat of a rope will fit in this thing and still work. This gets a lot harder to close because this part is pushing against the rope. Safety first. Safety's not first, but it's on the list. Oh, damn. That is tight. Yeah, you get to play with 1,000 pounds of force if you're willing to compromise your device. Is this a good time to bring up? These can be repaired. More about that later because we're going to make it convenient if something were to go wrong. And you can fix most of it yourself anyways. Let's try this 1/2-inch rope because they say it wouldn't fit, but that's what makes me like trying. So this one is a fatty at 12 millimeters. Oh, it fit. Keep in mind though, this is a fairly supple 12 mil used. That is more than I've ever got out of this before. Yes, there is a 1-year warranty on these things, but please don't do what I'm doing to your unit and you broke it. Stay within the specs. And this is the part where the pulley was spinning on it. It's a little glazed, but that's not too bad considering how aggressive that was. Pretty glad that I have not damaged this. It still sounds super healthy enough. What's interesting, besides the fact that it works really good in the specs that it was made for, if I did that with an ascender and I took it up to 5 kilonewtons, it would shred most ropes. So the fact that it's not destroying a rope and it'll slip is, I'm pretty happy with, considering I didn't know that before I started doing this. What makes this Z2R pretty cool is it's got the becket on here. Now let's try a couple different configurations on the machine, but we'll just stick in that 10 to 11 mil range and not test the rope itself, but how much force we can get if we do a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 or a lot to 1. Let's start with the 2-to-1 with it fixed on this side, and we'll pull on this side. We'll see how much force is here. Holy crap. Oh, that's awesome. It's holding 5. I think the part I like the most is the fact that I can release something with 1,000 pounds of force. Let's repeat the 2-to-1, but let's connect the fixed side to the becket and pull our load towards us. Next, we have a 3-to-1 where we have the fixed eye here, but instead of going through the device, it comes back down, goes through a pulley, and then goes through the device. Oh my God, that's tight. That's not that bad. These are some very inefficient pulleys, so I'm not really getting a lot more advantage outside of just a 2-to-1. But if I do a 5-to-1 using the becket with a more high efficient pulley like the SMC 3-inch pulleys that I have, let's see what we get. 21's pretty good and it's holding 17. Okay, it was slipping. So I can't seem to find the spot that it was spinning. It looks fairly good still. Now please be careful if you pull anything towards you with 20 kilonewtons of force. Just be mindful of the things you're playing with. It's like playing with fire. One application that this might be helpful is if you are wanting a more modular way to winch a car out of the mud. Now you can mount a winch to your car, but in my case, I don't want a winch mounted to my car all the time. And if I'm gonna go a little more off-roading than I normally do, then this might be nice to throw in the back of the car. I wanted somebody's opinions, and who better to give them to me than...
You trying to say I'm opinionated?
If you compare it to a Ronin...
God, yeah, this doesn't need its own ticket on an airplane. The construction is nice. Like, okay, heavy means it's reliable. Is that what that is? The ratcheting mechanism sounds pretty sweet. I mean, the overall constructions looks pretty nice. I can't wait to figure out how to break it. You hear that clicking? Yeah, that's a 47-year-old wrist at 20 foot-pounds. I'm so strong. I wouldn't want to do this for, 100 feet.
Well, it's meant for drills, but yeah. So what happens if your rope is too small and supple? It can get sucked back around the pulley. And if that goes under there because you have too supple of a rope, that happens. Now, it doesn't damage the unit. It damages the rope.
I bet you we could get it damaged unit. Just keep spooling it up. Ah, wait, we gotta use this one.
Oh, God.
Yes, I did not. Wait, now you're really gonna
Oh,
fix up.
shit. How not to use your Z2.
Yeah. Oh, it's trying to put a third bit.
It's not doing a very good job of trying to add a third. Okay.
No.
Oh, God. Oh, we should stop. Can we get the rope out? I've heard that you can't.
You tie it to a tree. Get another Z2 to pull this rope out.
You know why they call it the Z2? Right.
That's why.
It doesn't damage your rope. You have to damage your rope.
Oh my God.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to now test the battery to see how long we can run this thing at 1 kilonewton while Brent is holding the belay strand and maintaining 1K in for us. And I'm just going to run this until it no longer runs. And you're dead. The ATZ's 114. So this is 1K in right here is what we just maintained. Feel this. Not bad. It's got 2 bars left, and that did 80 meters.
You want to keep going?
Yeah, I don't really want to give it a break.
Keep going?
Yeah. That was a good fight. 95 degrees was the hottest spot right here, and 126 at the ATC.
Yeah.
So 1 is right there, and this was our second test. What's next, boss?
Let's load up a rope and just spin the crap out of the pulley and see how much rope damage we could actually intentionally try to do with this device.
What diameter? Not that one. I just don't know. That's my nice one.
1 kilonewton on the rope for 1 minute and see how much damage it causes to the rope.
That sounds sciencey enough to me.
Got 1 minute?
Now! Do that to your rope for a minute. You're done.
You are not paying attention to something.
Dude.
Oh, that's crunchy. Oh, it's smoke. Look, you can see smoking. Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
That feels like what I just touched.
Okay, that's hot.
Like you touch that.
No.
This is hard.
What's the melting temperature of nylon? Oh shit, that is, no. That rope is 200 degrees. Is it not worse for your rope than what we just did to that? No way! That's a lot lower. It did not break in the knot. This is supple here. And then when you get to here, this is hard, rigid plastic. You can see here that it doesn't bend at all.
It got hot enough to start melting the core, but not actually the sheath. That's what's interesting.
Yeah, it looks fine in there.
This is going to be exciting.
Because you think it'll slip.
I don't think it'll generate this much heat in the same amount of time.
Wow. How is it?
It's hot, but I don't know if it's as hot.
Oh,
as
I don't.
the nylon.
Wow, it's warm.
If we had
And
a
the
tool to measure it.
Oh, it's like full strength. It did not break in the knot, but it broke almost at the full strength it normally breaks at in the knots.
Fused together, but not as much as that nylon was.
So nylon has a higher melting point, but it has more friction, and so it gets to the higher melting point, we think, just as fast as Dyneema products.
So I think one of the only ways that you could even come close to, in real world application, to get that much heat is like, I can imagine somebody trying to ascend something with something heavy attached to them, and then I'm running the drill and I'm letting it slip as it's going up. So it's not like, oh, I'm just sitting there in one spot, but like there's slipping happening, which is causing this to heat up and then causing, but that would have to be a lot. We spun it in one spot for a long time.
You'd also have to hold that heat at one part of the rope for a full minute. It's nice to know it doesn't chew it up. So one place they've used this in China for search and rescue was in a cave where you can't just have a whole bunch of people get in a line and pull somebody up. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot more confined of a space. And they'd set this up on the anchor, and they'd have the rescuer with the rescuee coming up. Mm-hmm. And then they would redirect them to the next anchor point. This isn't supposed to replace the PPE side of things. I think if you have your clutch and your capto and everything set up, and instead of having 6 gorillas pulling the rope, you would just use this. This would be your load limiter. You could set your drill to be a load limiter. This is eventually going to be a load limiter.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just replacing this as the
hands.
the thing pulling on the end of the rope, and you still build your system to whatever spec you're trying to maintain, you know, your progress capture and whatever devices that progress capture is within your unit organization requirements, this is just pulling on the rope. So you can have
Especially
very
if you
few
have the
people.
load limiters in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is acting as a load limiter, and then you could still stay within your spec of like, don't build a higher mechanical advantage than whatever this is, a 3-to-1. You know, if you're trying to maintain that. So we were just like, this was load limiting within 2. That was in a direct line.
Don't quote me on this, but the R doesn't stand for red.
No.
I think it stands for rescue.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
So what was the difference between the R and the non-R in construction?
This and the gear ratio. The other one does not have a Beckett, the normal Z2.
Okay.
And it has a less of a gear ratio.
It is heavy.
How much is
Just
this
a little
weigh?
over 5 pounds.
It's heavy for just hanging on a harness as a climber. Just talk to an arborist who plans on hanging on his harness after he gets up to where he's trying to work. They already carry heavy tools off their harness. So sometimes when you have a small team and you're rope swinging and you need to haul people back up, oftentimes we'll use cap stands. But if we were able to pull people up with just this, you could operate with a small team or have this as a backup in case you have a small team and your other big bulky main device isn't working. I don't know. Usually when I try to make a purchase like this, I might not do it if there's no support for it. We will warranty your product for 1 year for manufacturer defects. And also if you screw it up, 90% of the things you can do to damage it can be replaced in 5 minutes and $20 yourself with components we have in the store. And if you screw the actual gears up, we can actually send it back to the manufacturer and get it repaired for cheaper than it costs to ship it to them. We'll have all the information in the product description on how much that would cost and how long that would take. But what's great is we'll have some loaner units. So if you're completely down a unit, you're so used to using it, you don't have to have 4 spares. We will send you a spare while you're getting yours repaired in case catastrophe happens. It's nice to know it doesn't chew your rope up. But if you are spinning your rope, please don't do it for a full minute before pulling it out of there. And don't use it as PPE. Don't use your drill to smash in nails. Basically, don't use this in a way it's not intended for and then complain about it's not working right.
No, fair enough.
I think this solved a lot of things for me when I was using it in my drop tower, and I'm realizing how many more things I can use it for. We get up to 32 kilonewtons when we're doing our lots to 1 brake testing bolts, which is really, really nice that we don't have to set up the hydraulics now. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching a long video about a weird pulley.